hands in the air. Put your hands in the air now. Put your hands in the air.
You're asking me if I voted this year. Me, Kwesi, yes. This is a stupid question. Let's do it again. May 11th, I voted change because it's time. Respect your vote.
Tell them this is our time. Tell them this is our time. Tell them this is. Tell them this is. Tell them this is our time. Hands up high. Everybody put your hands up high. Yeah. Oh, put your hands up high. Everybody put your hands up high. Yeah. Well, this is my time now. The time when everybody meets everybody. The time has come. The time when every creed and race will smile as one. Hey. Well, everybody, let me see you put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air now. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands up. Yes, this is our time. Tell them this is our time. Tell them this is our time. Tell them this is our time. 365 days. We've been preparing for 365 days. Everyone is ready for the streets and highways. Rolling with the color scheme to face the sun rays. Yeah. I've been waiting, yes, so long, long. To cross the stage of life and sing this song. Cause we all are wow. Everybody join along. Yeah. Well, everybody put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air now. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands up. Well, this is our time. Tell them this is our time. Tell them this is our time.
Hello again, Guyana, and welcome to the Public Interest. I am Malika Ramsey. Thanks for joining us for another informative week. As most of you would have known by now, the presidential candidate recently visited several communities in North America, and of course the support has been overwhelming, and persons have embraced APNU AFC partnership as we head into the 2015 regional and general elections. With me on this program as usual is the presidential candidate and of course leader of the People's National Congress Reform, Brigadier David Granger. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Malika.
Sir, as I said before, the support is out there. It's overwhelming, even from persons living out of Guyana, Guyanese living out of Guyana. What does this support really say about the PPP's governance over in the last 2 decades?
Well, that's an important question, Malika. I think there are several stories there. First of all, is that people are still migrating to the United States at a tremendous rate. Even though the PPP has been in office for over 20 years, it has not been able to stem the rate of migration, particularly from Region 6 and elsewhere. So it's not as though there was an old diaspora. That diaspora is continuously being reinforced by new migrants. The second thing is that the people are running from the PPP administration at home. It is not as though they're only seeking a better life. Everybody wants a good life. But the rate of migration is telling us another story, that there are serious problems at home, which are not being attended to, and forcing people to migrate. As you know very well, that university graduates are leaving at a rate of 4 out of 5. 4 graduates out of every 5 persons who graduate are migrating. The other thing is that it is felt in the past that persons who migrated were doing so partly because they, of political reasons and partly because of economic reasons. But the fact that the diaspora is so huge also has a positive side, that is that there is an abundance of talent out there. So while the PPP government, by its own actions in Guyana, is pushing people out of the country, the large buildup of talent in the United States is a factor which we need to consider in planning.
Can you stop this and continue this increasing rate of migration? Can APNU AFC stop that?
We can't stop the relationship. I think that's forever. People, certainly some of them will not come back. But we have been able to turn the tide in the sense that many persons who migrated and who spoke with us want to come back to invest. They want to come back to settle after retirement, for example. They want to come back to, show their children the land of their birth. They want to, maintain that bond with their homeland. And because many children, if they simply live in America all their life, would never know the beauties of their homeland. But APNU is committed to making their homeland a destination that is safe for them to come to and safe for them to invest.
Before we talk about maybe some specifics regarding a plan and a strategy to have these persons come home to help develop Guyana, while you were in the US, sir, campaigning, of course, we got a handful of negative reports where there were persons protesting APNU AFC, the alliance, the coalition. Has that done any sort of damage to this coalition?
Not at all. It is a stage-managed event. They were supporters of the PPP, repeating the old shibboleths that they were taught by Bart Jagdeo years ago. Granger's blood in his hands, Nagamutu's Nima Karam. Nobody pays attention to that anymore. Our campaign is forward-looking, and the protesters, such as they were backward-looking. Our campaign has a plan to encourage development, encourage investment. That campaign, mounted by the PPP, is quite negative.
We know in Guyana unfortunately, we would have had a culture whereby we would have seen ethnic bickering. Does that exist in the diaspora among Afro-Guyanese and Indo-Guyanese, as far as you've seen on your trip?
I was told that it used to happen in the past, but I didn't see it. What I saw was a coming together of ethnic groups. Our meeting in Queens was chaired by Dr. Rohan Somar. And from the letters that I see coming out of the meeting, it seems that the audience, apart from what I saw myself, it seems that the audience was quite mixed. In the past, this would be inconceivable. A few years ago, people from Brooklyn would hardly go into Queens and vice versa. But now, there seems to be no impediment to the two groups mixing. I don't know whether this is taking place at other levels, but certainly at the political level, persons who used to identify with the PNC and persons who used to identify with the PPP, in both ideological and ethnic terms, are now prepared to come together. And this is what I saw last weekend. Africans and Indians in the diaspora are now prepared to mix. So it means that the myths, the stories, the legends that the PPP used to tell about what happened in the dark days, are no longer believed, are no longer accepted as truth by the young people growing up in the diaspora, even the older ones.
Okay. Sir, with the exception of security, which you would have just touched on, what can APNU, AFC, and David and Moses do that the PPP has not done to not only bring our people back home to develop our country, but to actually stop them from leaving?
Well, the most important factor which was related to me was the factor of safety. And those persons who are already in the diaspora are reluctant to return because they feel that the country is unsafe. Similarly, many of the people who are leaving, particularly from East Berbice quarantine region, are doing so because that region is regarded as being unsafe. So that is a factor. But the other factors which people mention was the feeling of discrimination. And I was surprised because this came from traditional PPP supporters who felt that they had not the same opportunity or a similar opportunity to invest in their country. Not because of ethnicity, because these were people of different ethnicities, but because they felt that there was no level playing field, that even if they went through the normal, formal procedures for investment, they were being pushed to the sideline, pushed to the periphery. And this is one of the commitments I gave them, that the Guyana Office for Investment, Go Invest, would be restructured so that there is no opaqueness. And I think those are the two factors that people are concerned about: security and transparency.
Sir, unemployment has been an issue for the longest while in Guyana. You've even talked about it during the 2011 regional and general elections. If we have a high rate of unemployment, do you believe, or can you stop bringing persons back from the US and other parts of the world, bringing them back to Guyana? Wouldn't that have an effect on our unemployment situation?
I don't think so. Unemployment in Guyana is structural, in the sense that the economy simply cannot, as it stands, employ more people. It means that the economy has got to be restructured, and that is what my emphasis was on in the United States. I was encouraging investors to come back to open new industries, and those industries will create opportunities for employment. I do not believe that at present there are employment opportunities in Guyana which can encourage young people either to remain or, having migrated, to come back. We have to look at new jobs. For example, engineers can come back to build roads. Entrepreneurs can come back to invest in manufacture, and those will create jobs. That is the way to go. But right now, there's nothing for people to come back to.
Do you have a structure in mind that will not only provide for Guyanese coming back home to start their businesses and create employment for persons living here, and also international investment? Is there a structure whereby our people will be given first priority?
There's no structure, and I would like to assure Guyanese that there be a level playing field. They have not asked for any advantages, they've not asked for any favors, they've not asked for any handouts. What they do not want is to be treated in a discriminatory way. They don't want to compete for positions or offices or opportunities and then be asked to pay a bribe, or then be told that, oh, such and such an investor has gotten it because of some minor technicality. So I do believe that once there is a level playing field, people will be prepared to invest.
Persons living in the US, where you recently visited, of course, they have families who are living in Guyana, and they were encouraging them to vote APNU, AFC at the upcoming polls. But there's always the issue of how competent is the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, is. Were any of those concerns raised while you were away by persons living there?
There was concern about the list. The list at over 550,000 seemed to many people to be incredible. And I said that if it's a dirty list, it will have to be cleaned up. In other words, if there were persons on the list who were not supposed to be there, for any reason at all, they would be dead or not qualified, we'd have to clean it up. It's difficult to imagine a situation in which of a population of 750,000, 550,000 are qualified to vote. Something's got to be wrong. And we need to get to the bottom of that. That was a concern of people in the diaspora. That it was a concern.
All right. Sir, as we have to prepare to wrap up this edition of the Public Interest, even though you would have gone on your trip, you would have spoken to residents in various communities of the U.S., how confident are you now, and what message would you like to leave to them who would be viewing our program via the social sites, just to remind them why they should encourage their friends and families at home to vote APNU AFC?
The Guyanese I've met in the diaspora are Guyanese to the marrow. They know that they are living in a foreign country. They know that they have to pledge allegiance to the state of the United States of America. But at heart, they're Guyanese. They want Guyanese food. Their memories of childhood are about Guyana, and they want to return to Guyana to die, if I can put it like that, to retire and to die. My message to them is to continue to qualify, continue to accumulate capital so that it could be invested in Guyana. Continue to assure your colleagues, your families, your relatives in Guyana that you have listened, you've heard, you've understood the plans that APNU and AFC have for development, economic and social development, political development, and assure them that there's a good life available for them in Guyana. They don't have to migrate. People can go to other countries and qualify, but we now have, under the APNU and AFC, to embark on a plan of building the type of society which encourages people not to migrate and those who have migrated to come back home. This is the type of country that will give all Guyanese a good life, and I believe that our message resonated with the Guyanese in the diaspora, and I think there will be a turn of the tide in the wake of the May the 11th general and regional elections. I think a good life beckons, and it beckons through the program that has been outlined by APNU and AFC.
Thank you very much, sir. Leader of the People's National Congress Reform and presidential candidate for APNU AFC, Brigadier David Granger.
Put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air now, put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air.
It is time for all Guyanese to respect your vote. Respect your votes enough not to waste it, and respect your votes enough to call on others to do the same. My name is Ryan Belgrave, and come May 11, 2015, I'm voting APNU AFC. It is time.
Tell them this is our time. Yes, this is our time.